the workshops have just taken this whole section of the workshop and they've got saws and they've got everything to make everything. Well, we don't have that ability to make it that much, but just an area that they are comfortable in and the supplies are ready. And they talk about at this maker space that, like at night, somebody comes out and sets everything up, so the next day they walk in and everything's just ready to go.
Okay.
And we do have the ability to lock that room, so if other people use our building, nothing's messed with. So that's good. As far as we do needlework or sewing, ceramics.
Scrapbooking.
Yep, scrapbooking.
So does it all fall under the art category?
Yeah. Now, some of you might be more artists than I am. I did find out from this session that art is invention and crafts is reproduction. And that really stuck with me because a lot of art that I see, that's not art. I'm not that creative. I'm not that abstract. So some of the things that they passed around and they told us and showed us, I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So we notice when we do crafts, which is what we do, that a lot of times our staff go and fix things. If something's not glued on straight or whatever, staff is fixing it to make it perfect. So that's one thing that our staff are going to be working on too, is let it go. That this is their creation, they've made it the way they want, and that's the way it is. So it doesn't look like the sample or whatever. It's okay.
And Julie, one thing, sorry Aaron, Julie, one thing we talked about when we were in here was the fact that, at some point in a little while, maybe the kids can go see that space and just start to say, well, what ideas do you guys have? So, to your question, James, I think they're excited about having you guys
interested in that.
Look at that space and see what you think,
And what's in there, we're willing to part with anything that's in there.
Okay.
And to replace it with what your vision might be also. So we're not tied to anything. There are 2 rabbits in there at the moment, and those 2 rabbits might.
I has a rabbit.
They
probably need to stay too.
Well, yeah, they don't necessarily be in there. We're not sure yet on that, what we're going to do this year with the rabbits, but don't worry about the rabbits when you're designing. We'll take care of however it ends up.
Do you want us to create any art for the room, or do you want us just to design the room itself so they can create the art?
That's a good question, and we'd be open to either way, I think.
Okay.
And there's not a lot of wall space when you get in there. There's doorways and a window, 2 windows. So there's not a lot of art space, but there's cabinets that has some room up on top.
Does it? Like Mr. Smith said, are we able to see the space?
Oh yeah, we're gonna.
The wall behind where the rabbits are, where we had that puppet theater, we could put the puppet theater in storage and do something.
But the cabinets, do they have space above them? Or do they go to the ceiling?
I think they go to the ceiling.
And before they do that, I'm not going to stay too long, but get to some other ones. Would you talk just for a second about, I know you guys you already alluded to it a little bit, and then just so these guys can get that filmed a little bit on there?
I'm filmed.
No, you're
Okay.
good.
One of the concerns that we have is for a gentleman that has Huntington's. And with Huntington's, he is very spastic. And so it's hard for him to eat because when he eats, he's constantly scooting from the table. And we know there's devices out there, a weighted device, balance, and it's about $400 for that one utensil, and that you take the spoon off or the fork. So if you wanted a set, you're talking extreme amount of money. But as I was telling him earlier, even though we get that part fixed, what are we doing here when he's spastic and the food goes flying? So, or it drops down or whatever. So it's kind of a double edge thing that we're needing help with for him. Other individuals, it's just a matter of how can we get it secured around their hand or so that they can get it to their mouth directly. And we have to actually with the gentleman with the Huntington's, we have the same issue with a cup. We're trying to find a cup that will easy for him to hang on to, easy for him to get to his mouth, and then when he puts it back down that it hasn't splashed all over everywhere. Because really we've tried like Quick Trip cups, there's all kinds of cups that have the straws and stuff. They're not working for him. So, and he is only declining on a daily basis. And he's showing this decline now, and he'll kind of stable out for a while, and then he'll show another decline in a few years. So,
Independence is huge to this. He's a man. He's got normal man feelings. He wants to be independent. So like you mentioned, maybe a child's cup, that would not work for him.
yeah, and for him, he has watched his father and his grandfather die of Huntington's and what they have gone through. He was a gentleman that was married, worked for either Federal Express or what's the other brown UPS, for many years, a normal life. But with Huntington's, you get that disease in the, because you have it at birth. You get that gene or you don't. And his brother doesn't have it. He does. And so he knows what that road is ahead of him. So we would like him to be able to maintain his dignity as long as possible. And we know that everybody else here is just as important, but I don't know, I think it's really touching the staff a lot, knowing that it could be us that have that gene and declining. And we've only had him in our program since May, and we have seen such decline. And we just want to help him out as much as we can.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
You guys have any questions?
Well, do you guys have all?
So when somebody donates some yarn kits or scrapbook paper or whatever, we're in there and able to get it. So that helps us a lot with our projects.
Good. Well, I wanted to let you know a little bit about for Design Challenge. It is a class, and
To just like hang out with them?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm sure you'll be visited by a few people.
Yeah.
when you come out there.
Through your school, and you're always welcome. We love volunteers. We have to, a lot of people will say you have a special skill to do. I was in church, youth group, and I was a slave. That's what they called it back then. They bought my services, and so for the church group, I went and volunteered at the live-ins, their housing, and washed windows and stuff. And then when the new agency opened up, I went and worked there, and so that's how I started. Why I started, that's part of it, but then also through our church and through our school, we had an individual that had developmental delays or mental retardation or whatever, but she also had 6 or 7 brothers and sisters, and there was only like 2 out of all of them that would be called normal. And so Terry was in my grade through school, and back then they had specialized classes. They didn't come into our classrooms. But I don't know, I always had a special place for her when she was with our youth group and stuff, and we were poor. So we were one of those families that got a lot, well, not a lot, but got stuff given to us, but we always made sure we gave to that family. And then they lost a couple of the children in a fire, and so that, I don't know, she always stuck with me. But she's had several children, and she's living a normal life back in Iowa. But then came down here, and I went to nursing school, and I did not finish, but that's where most of my education. Yeah, and then I just been trained, gotten every kind of trainings we can go to all the time here. But some people, there are different positions that do have to have degrees, or we're just now going to be starting to have a requirement of having a certified nurse's aide on staff, which we have not. But there's some people that will have a diagnosis or a procedure or whatever that falls under those, that we've been doing them in the past, but now with different guidelines, so we'll have to have a CNA on staff.
okay.
So that is something that is fairly easy. Well, I say that, like, it's doable. Some of them live together and work together, and when we opened the other center, I tried to separate as much as I could. If there's 2 or 3 individuals living together, put one here and one over there. and plus we're looking at a third center now, opening another day program. So we try to do that, so, you know, how summer's the time when you're with your family all the time, it can get a little annoying. So 24/7, yeah, keep them separated. The friendships, I think is probably their biggest thing. And that, like I was telling you, for the 94-year-old, she can stay home, you know, she's 94, she doesn't have to go to a program, she doesn't have to perform and do things, but she loves that friendship and that talking to people and interacting, so.
It's a great place to go to.
Yeah, and a lot of them have a hard time communicating, but we all figure it out. So even if nonverbal or hard to understand, we all get it. You know, we get each other, so.
We're off now as a whole group, and then we'll might send some people over here. I'm sorry. I just wanted for our first group. For our first meeting together.
Like you have, and then the more table space you have, they have like room to do stuff. Like if it's gonna be like designated like paint area and stuff like
the tables look like the things of, it's like almost like a box, but it's like a
I think this
big-
entire thing should go, and we should take everything that's in that storage. And then
She said we could
if we're
remove
gonna,
the
I know, if we're gonna make it open,
well, like cause I'm OCD, that is killing me so much.
Some
Like,
tables should
it's
in.
horrible.
we just gotta shut it and don't ever look in there again.
That is horrible. Like, I can't.
So it's a
handle it.
whiteboard wall ago for some paint on.
I think each one they have. Like, I know they want to do things together, but like depending on the craft, what they're doing, you know, like they
A
need their
smart
own
board, that's
individual
even better. Squared
space.
off.
Yeah.
But it's like
Okay,
one
that's how you do it.
one big table.
Yeah, it's one big table, but they need individual space, you know,
Yeah,
like.
so they don't get frustrated with
Shaded.
each other.
Yeah,
and
and
they'll
so
have
they don't hit arms and stuff. Yeah.
Would a smartboard or a whiteboard be better?
Whiteboard.
Yeah.
Yeah, whiteboard.
Like a smart board, like I can't even.
You can
Like
put-
those are so.
I don't know if there's like tables or on there or not.
Yeah, it is. Tables, shoe bins, and whiteboard.
Put store space on there too.
Or we could redesign the entire
Yeah.
aspect.
We
of
just
storage.
need like a floor plan, you know,
Oh.
kind
We're
of
just
like
putting
if they
stuff
can
down
do
there.
that.
Cool, bro.
And then we
That'd
can
be awesome.
then we can break up on whatever we want to do. Are we allowed? Okay, so the counter's staying. Like, are we allowed to
That is-
physically rip anything out?
Yeah. She
We-
literally
we
said
take
that.
it.
That's everything.